Hello everyone, welcome back to Day One Dev channel. Today, we're going to talk about single page application with the web as well as microservices via API gateway. So SPA offers many benefits over classic web applications, prominent one being a rich and responsive web interface. This primarily using a SPA application logic residing in the browser. With the advancement of browsers like Chrome or Microsoft Edge browsers, the front-end applications and their ecosystem have become more powerful and capable of delivering as rich user experience. Given the current browser capabilities, it can handle tasks that were traditionally offloaded to a backend of more powerful servers. Like single sign-on is one such task and a flow that modern browsers paired within modern front-end frameworks and can easily handle, thereby enabling a faster and intuitive user experience and free up a server bandwidth for more complex operations. When the front end or a client takes care of SSO, it totally removes the backend servers to maintain and manage sessions. So making this backend API exposing a stateless, this ultimately enables an opportunity to expose APIs developed for SPA to wider audience as well as consuming across the web applications and mobile applications. And there's another third channel you can do is the customers are using your APIs, right? So let's do little system context architecture diagram. Then we can talk about here how this entire flow. So the single page web application have become a de facto standard for creating a modern web applications today due to a recent advance in a browser and front-end technologies. SPA acts as an entry point for user interactions and actions. It must connect to a multiple backend systems such as databases, microservices, queuing systems, and more to provide data to a SPA and to complete user actions, the SPA. With the browsers in a single page applications gaining a more functionality and popularity, SPA. So when the user authentication occurs via OAuth and using a grant type authorization code, the same token can be used to obtain your JWT calling your backend microservices. They are exposed via API gateway to the front-end channels. This can be your SPA or also can be your mobile applications. So SPA authenticates within front-end applications, and that token can be reused back to your microservices. Right. So I hope you have seen this high-level architecture diagram, which I did called out some of the front-end part with using SSO via OAuth, and I did called out API gateway in my other video. So let's jump on how this SPA, the sequence diagrams looks at it. So if you see here, there is an actor, a user, and there's SPA application, which always have your front end as well as a facade layer, and you have IDP provider, an API gateway, and microservice. Now microservice here, backend. So as a regular OAuth application, the user makes a call to your front-end site. The front-end redirects back to a user, and it posts back to your facade service, either using a GraphQL or you might be using a regular API call or redirect URL. Then the facade service makes a call to your IDP to get a token. So as part of this, you're sending out your URL. And you get a login form. The user is not authenticated. The user enters the credentials and do a validation back in IDP because the form belongs to IDP. Then credentials are validated. If everything looks good, page will be redirected back via browser. And as part of that, you're getting an access token. You might have observed when you're doing any authentication sites, the token is always in your browser as a get. So you use the token and use your client agent secret. So this is a temporary token. So depends on your IDP provider. There is always will have some duration limit. That token is not valid for maybe 24 hours. So most of the time, the tokens are valid between 5 to 20 minutes max. So once you get a token, temporary token, you post that temporary token with your client agent secret. You're getting a permanent token. The permanent token is generally market standards or security standards do not give out more than 24 hours. So if you are giving a token, make sure that more than 24 hours, make sure that your information security is aligned to that. But highly recommended, the token, the shorter duration is always more secure because you have a refresh token. Use your refresh token if you need keep on running for session. And once you get your back your JWT, your facade service, you redirect back to your browser, and you store this JWT somewhere in your browser. But I do want to call out exclusively here, storing your JWT. Do not store in a browser local storage. So browser has a kind of a small database. It's called as a browser local storage. Do not store that in your JWT. So highly recommended to keep that in your client memory or session cookie, but not call out explicitly is stored in a browser local storage. So once that is done, you make your backend calls via API because you're authenticated, your front end is loaded. Now you're doing a responsive web design. So you're making your API calls, your front end to your backend via API gateway. And API gateway follows all the standards like scopes and your client IDs, resources, what you're calling, all the stuff. It does all its own standards like a throttling, all the stuff. I did called out in product place the key features what you have to look for, but I'll do a separate video, the API gateway, how generally we track from architecture perspective, what all we add uh, the validations or scopes. Right. So once that's successfully validated, you make a call back to your microservices, just forward the call. And also you might be doing some part of a translation, right? And your microservice gives you a response back. Then if everything looks good, it goes back. Or if something is not, API gateway has some issues, you'll get some error backs. So you can see there 200 with the data, which is a success response. 401 where you're calling us an invalid token or the token, your API keys are expired. Our 403 is technically, it's a regular HTTP standards, access denied. And you have a 500 if your backend is something going down. So, all right. I hope there are few specifications we follow when we are doing an SPA and the client type, especially on a front end. You can see here all the references I did captured. Some of them are already discussed during our using our single sign-on via OAuth and single sign-on via SAML. I hope you learned something new with an SPA project from architecture perspective, and I'll see you in the next video.